It is 3, but I'm gonna wait a minute because maybe someone will show up. But there are more pressing things going on in the world, it turns out, and that is okay and also true. Okay, so in the meantime, I'm gonna go over the um, itinerary or agenda that I created. It's kind of a long list, so some things will be touched on and some things will be more like delved into a little deeper. But I think these are all important things even for beginners because these are what I find most useful and I use InDesign every day. So here's the agenda shared on the screen. You can kind of scroll through it at your leisure. And then from this point on, I'll remove the agenda. It can be found elsewhere, and then um, within the meeting, and then share my screen and we can get going. But yeah, because like I said earlier, other stuff is going on. But I would like to say that zines and books are obviously political and, you know, can be used. Yeah, zines and books can be used to disseminate information. So that is why this is relevant. Hi, Owen. Um, and I think it's great to go out in the streets, but then, you know, in the nighttime, you can use your InDesign skills for good. All right, so this is the agenda. It is shared now and can be found in the meeting, but then we're gonna just share my screen and go over each thing in the agenda. What I don't know is that if I scroll, it scrolls, or if you're scrolling. You know, this is my first time holding a Zoom, so we're just learning as we go. There are quite a few things, 11 things on this agenda, but I'm gonna just err on the side of brevity by touching on each, and then you know, maybe a future class will be 102 instead of 101. So I am going to try to cover all these things, but briefly. So I'm going to stop sharing this and share my screen. Sharing your screen will stop others from sharing the doc. Yes. All right, and I want to share my desktop. Sure. All right, let's open InDesign. Okay, so first on the agenda is creating a new document, a successful new document, which means that, you know, it's the right size and we added some margins and helpful things. So there are a couple options here besides new document, but we're not going to use book or library. We're going to use, which would pull from a folder, or creating a new document that we are creating ourselves. So you might not have all your recent items like I do. So I'm going to act as if these are not here. I'm going to create a new document. The size I'm choosing is 5.5 by 8.5. And the reason for that is because it is the standard zine size. The reason it's the standard zine size is because it is the size of an 8.5, 11 sheet folded in half. And so that's where the 5.5, 8.5 size comes from. It, you know, folds on the 11-inch to the 5.5. And this is a spread. You can design your InDesign file in both single pages or spreads. And I'll show you how to do that. So our we'll just title this zine. And 5.5 is the width, and 8.5 is the height. That's if you're doing a portrait zine. You can see that here. And we are. Facing pages. It's called facing because the pages in your document will be facing each other. They'll be butt up against each other, just like this, as a spread. So I like designing facing pages. That way I can kind of visualize what they look like next to each other. Also, you can do what's called crossovers, which means you can design it as a whole spread and maybe do like crossover text, crossover image, so on and so forth. And that is a lot harder to do if this box was not checked and each page was 5.5, 8.5. So I'm going to check facing pages. Pages. For what's called a saddle stitch zine, which is staple bound, those terms are used interchangeably. Saddle stitch means it's stitched on a saddle with staples. So where was I going with this? So each spread, each form for each sheet, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's why everything that's going to be folded and inserted into itself like this is it has to be divisible by 4, and the reason for that is you get 4 pages out of each sheet. So in this case we'll do 8 pages. That would be 2 forms, you could call that, or 2 signatures. Those words are also used interchangeably. I'm going to type 6 by accident, and I'll show you how to fix that later. Starting on page 1 sounds great. We don't need any columns or column gutters. We just want a blank page. Margins are helpful. Margins are, I use them actually kind of visually for my like safety no print area. So you can do a 1/2 inch for that. You can do 1/8 of an inch, 0.125. I'm going to do a 1/4 inch, 0.25. So what that's going to do is show a little line that does not print, and it'll give you your margin area, and you'll see that as soon as we create this document. Bleed and slug. What bleed is if something goes fully to the edge of the page, it actually has to bleed over and get trimmed to bleed. That means that no printer can print to the very edge. It will always print over in the bleed area. And this will give you a guide for that. We're not going to get into bleed too much today, but 1/8 of an inch is the minimum amount that printers require for bleed. So I set that to 0.125. Slug is something I don't use, but it can be helpful. It's actually the area outside of the print, bleed, and then it's called the slug zone. And that is where you could type in some information like notes to yourself or notes to the printer. Sometimes I'll put like extra text outside of there that maybe I'll use later. That is just a no print zone that things can go outside of that will never print, but you can put a little note, a little something. I'm not going to include a slug area. We really don't need to do that. So right now I should have a 6-page document with facing pages. If you're wondering why this first page, make sure your window, before anything, make sure your window and workspace is in printing and proofing. That's what I use. You're welcome to use book, but today we're using printing and proofing. This is all for print in the end, so that'll basically give you the windows you need, all of these toolbars for printing and proofing. So workspace, printing and proofing. And the other thing I like to have up at all times is go to window and pages. That is this window right here, which is very helpful. You can actually expand it as much as you want. And now I see my whole zine in pages. Okay, back to where we were, which is why is this first page a single page if I have the rest of it in facing pages or spreads? What's up with the first and last page? Well, that's why dummies are helpful, so you understand what you're looking at. The first page is a single page because that is what it looks like. So the first page and the last page are single pages. They're not a spread, really. I mean, you could call them a spread with themselves, but you're not designing it that way. So what we're looking at right now, why this is first sheet is a single page, is because it's page 1. And then what we're looking at on the next 2 pages are 2 and 3, which are a spread. So that kind of is, or that is exactly how you're viewing your zine or book, is even in facing pages, your first and last page will always be a single page, because that reflects how you read it. And we always design in reader spreads. Later, we'll get into the difference of printer spreads and reader spreads. Right now, we're working in reader spreads. Reader spreads are just in numerical order, like 1 through 8, so on and so forth. Okay, if you remember, I created a 6-page document instead of an 8-page, and that was an accident, and I actually want to add some more pages. I have 2 ways of doing that. I can press this little button called Create New Page on my page window right here, or if I want to change anything about this document that I created, I'm like, you know what? I don't like the facing pages. I want to turn that off. I want to design a 6x9 book. All those options, you're welcome to bring that window back up under File, Document Setup. And here, I'm going to change that 6 to an 8. And I'm happy with everything else. I like my size. I like my margins. I like my bleed. All of that is cool. So that's the only thing I'm really going to change. And that added 2 pages. And that would be a much faster way to add 25 pages than press this 25 times. All right. So let's look at what's next on the agenda. So we created a successful new document. I'm going to show you what we're looking at before we get into placing things into it. What we're looking at right now is a kind of purple magenta. I'll zoom in a little bit. And the quick way to zoom is Command plus or minus. That's your shortcut to zoom in and out of this. I also sometimes will go to the view option at the top, and that's cool because you can zoom in and out, but you can also hit your page to window. Actual size, I love to click actual size, and then I'm like, oh, this is what it's going to look like. I'm designing it way too small, or way too big is what I usually do. So this will show it actual size, and I'm like, okay, that's what 13-point text looks like. All right, so what we're looking at is this, we'll just call it a guide. This guide for the margins, it does not print. This we set at a 1/4 inch, and I'm not going to design any text or image outside of this 1/4 inch area. It's kind of my safety no print zone. It'll make it look better. It'll make sure nothing gets trimmed off or cut off when printing. So I love that feature. Also helpful if we were designing this with bleeds instead of margins. This red box right here indicates our bleed area, or like bleed zone. So I'll show you an example of that. Right now, I just drew a bounding box and filled it with black. So this is what my cover would look like with 1/4 inch margins all the way around. Makes it look very even, clean, and great. This is what it looks like when I design it to bleed, right to the bleed box. So that's why these are super useful in designing, and they don't print. If you'd like to see what your document would look like, let's draw that. Let's bring that back. If you'd like to see what your document would look like without all your, guides and all the things that aren't printing, what I like to do is use the shortcut. You click out of your page and hit W for working, And that gives you a working preview of what it's going to look like. So it will get rid of all the bounding boxes and all the things that won't print. It will not display your bleed or slug. And it gives you a nice little preview. So that's what that'll look like. You can always do that. You can scroll down here, click out of it, and just hit the letter W. I use that all the time. It's super helpful. All right. So this is what our document looks like. There's, of course, different ways you can, to start. You can start with the page number that you want to end with, or you can build it out page by page. Some people just start with one page, move on to page 2. That's just a personal preference. Right now, we're going to really have all of our pages. This is an 8-page zine, so they're all here. To put anything in InDesign, you're welcome to open Finder and drag it in, but you're going to have a lot more control if you use the Place tool. File, and here, or Command D, is Place. What Place does, and this will not be selected, so we'll select that after. What Place does is it puts in your whatever you want to put in, your image, your file. Maybe that's a Photoshop file. It can put in PDFs. It can put in a straight, vector from Illustrator. And what this does is it creates a live link between that and the file itself in the document, which is very cool. It means if you were to brighten a photo in Photoshop and save it, and you have it linked in your InDesign file, all of those changes will be applied because it's a live link. So that is great. And that's why it's super important to stay organized when you're using InDesign. I've made the mistake of not, but if you have that folder with everything that's going into the zine, it's great because you can have the live link, and not only do you know how to find everything, but you can edit it. You'll see. So let's go back to Place. I want to place an image for my front cover. I'm gonna, this will not be toggled, so we're gonna toggle that on. Check the box, show import options. Again, you're welcome not to, but this is going to give you more control. I'll show you what options those are. Sometimes, depending on what type of file it is, it'll give you options about size. This is a JPEG. We don't have a ton of options here, but I'll show you later. Placing a PDF, it'll give you the options of what page and maybe a bounding box. Great. We're going to do this image. Okay, love it. This is great. I'm dragging it around and some guides popped up to show me where center is. Love that. This is not the size I want it. I want it to be smaller. You have 2 ways to do that. You can direct selection tool and select that image. This is where you can modify the percentage, maybe take it down a couple, or what I'm going to do is actually just type in constrained proportions by linking the width and height. Okay, 5. Okay, now this is 5 inches, which means it fits perfectly within my margins. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is, of course, like I said, you can go in and change the percentage. The difference between the selection tool and the direct selection tool, the direct selection is this one here with the, it's white instead of black. The selection tool selects what's in the bounding box as well as the bounding box. So if I went to 50%, for example, it would change both. I like the direct selection tool. That's going to directly select the object in the bounding box. So right here, it's going to keep my bounding box the same size. Change that to 50. It only changed this. It actually didn't change the bounding box. If you would like your bounding box to be the same size as your image or file, double click any corner. There's a little box. I'm going to double click that and it will fit to the image. I just pressed Control Z a couple times to undo what I did. I want to show you one more cool object option. Go to Object and go to Fitting. So if I had a bounding box, I only want my cover to have a little image right here, but it's all cropped. Go to Object, Fitting, and here are all your fitting options for whatever object is in your bounding box. I'm going to say fill frame proportionally. That filled my frame proportionally. Let's go to Fitting, Fit content proportionally. That fitted our content to the frame with all of our content proportionally. So these are cool options. Fit frame to content. These are good ways to control your objects. And as you get use InDesign a little more, you'll understand more why bounding boxes are helpful and what size they are. For example, if I wanted my bounding box to be 6 wide, I could then go to Object and fill frame proportionally, which is just a very fast way of controlling the size of your image. For me, I'm going to say I want this to be, what did I say? I liked it at 5, so I'm going to change it to 5 wide. I'm going to center it by dragging it and waiting for those guides to show up to center. So I just kind of moved it around until it showed up. Now it's centered. Have it selected when you go to Object, Fitting, and fill frame proportionally. Great. That's going to be my cover. If I want to, place some pages in here, maybe I have a PDF that I made in Photoshop. You can place anything using file place. If you have a multiple page PDF, you definitely want to place it using import options. I double clicked instead of hitting open there. And the reason for that is you can choose which page you're importing. So I'm going to choose page 2 of my document. The first one was blank. So right now, I thought ahead and I made my PDF the same size as the 5.5, 8.5, the same size as my document. So if it's centered, it's going to be perfectly to size. The reason why I would want to place something I already made in Photoshop into InDesign is a million reasons, but for things like layering on top and putting, text on images, things like that, or adding page numbers automatically, there's a ton of reasons why you would want to have this in InDesign, not only Photoshop. So page 1, place pages, page 2. And like I said, you can choose the range here. You can choose that it crops to the art. There's a lot of options when you have that import options turned on. So this is just to give you an idea of how to place an image or file. And of course, you can change the bounding box and change the position. You can customize it very easily in InDesign. And again, with linking, if we were to make any changes to this PDF, and we'll bring up the links folder. Links. Okay. The links folder shows everything that is linked into, and it's also helpful. It shows what color it's in, but it shows everything that's linked in this document. So right now we have pages, 2 of them linked in this document. We have flyer image, which is a JPEG linked in this document. It'll give you all the information about it. And here's where you'll relink if you make an update. You can change the link. I won't get into editing these, but what I'm trying to say is if you edit them, it's very nice that they then will retain where they are in your document. Okay, so we placed images, we placed PDFs. I'm going to place text now. There's two ways to do that. You can go to the text, the type tool, create a bounding box. I'm going to do maybe something like that. And copy and paste into your bounding box. Let's see. In my Word doc, I just have some filler text here. I'm going to copy it all, Control C, click into my text box, Control V. The reason this is underlined is obviously with the lorem ipsum, there are spelling mistakes. Okay, so how to turn this into a series of text boxes that flow. We have one text box, but it's getting cut off because of the size. I see this little red error here that's saying there's text that's cut off. I would like this to continue on to the next page. I'm going to fill this page. I'm going to say, let's do a full crazy big page full of text, but I also want this page to have that too. I'm going to click this little red box and load my cursor with the text. This is loading it with the remaining missing text. And I'm going to click here and look at that. Let me even make it the same height. These are called linked text boxes because if we were to delete anything here, it's flowing, it's linked. And how you see that is this little arrow saying it's continuing on to the next text box. That is super nice for both zines and books if you want to continue it on. It's also great if you want to create maybe a column. So, okay, this is a column. I'm going to make it 3 inches wide. 3 by 8, sure. And these are linked, right? So it's going to continue on to the next column. I'm going to say 2.5. This is me modifying the bounding box for the text now. All right, so we have a 2.5 wide. I want another 2.5 wide. The other great thing about working in facing pages, you can just drag things very easily from one page to the other, which you can do here too. Just a little wonkier. All right, I'm going to make another column of text, and that is going to be 2.5 as well. And look at that, it's linked. So that's so cool. Oh, but some's getting cut off. So we would have to continue it to the next page, create another 2-inch column. So on and so forth. This is a lot of text. Something I like to do is, place an image in with the text. You can go and find cool options, such as text wrap. So place an image, turn on text wrap, the text will wrap around it. There's a lot of options, and it's super helpful to have your text linked if it doesn't all fit in one box. I wanted to touch super briefly on character and paragraph styles. So I did Control A to select all my text. If you want consistency in your styles, styles are size, font, spacing, leading, etc. We're going to go to character styles. And you can save this style and apply it to text later on, which is very cool. Same with paragraph styles. All the paragraph settings, all of this, there's a million, whether you have hyphenation on, whether it has borders and rules. The size, all of this is something that you can save as a style and apply later on by just highlighting and clicking the style. It is great, makes things really fast and consistent. So, what's next on the agenda? Master pages. All right, I jumped around a little bit, but this is a great time to talk about master pages. A master page is basically a template page. So at the very top here, above our document, is the master page area. It takes a little getting used to. It's not very intuitive as far as the parent pages and what none means. And I'll show you how I use it. So a master page, like I said, is a template page. So I double clicked here to edit the master page. The way that you create, how they name multiple master pages is parents. So this is a parent. It's a style, it's a spread. And if we were to make another, it would be called the parent. That's just how it is. So say I want a guide. I'm going to go to View, Grids and Guides, and you should always have, I love Snap to Guides, which was what we were using to center things. And it's just nice to have smart guides. It's nice to have all these guides on. What the guides are these rulers on the left and top side, and how you use them to create a new one on the document. These don't print. So how you use them is you click and drag down. Super useful for consistency, also knowing where on the page, if we wanted all of our titles to sit at 1 inch, this is how I would do that. If I want to have guides where maybe my columns or my photos, this is where grid system gets involved, and you can create all sorts of grids, and you can have 20 different masters, 20 different parents on your masters, and apply them to different pages and really go nuts. For me, this is not really a long enough zine to need masters, but I'll show you how to do it anyway. I just highlighted and press delete to get rid of those. So, you know what? I want text on every page of my document, and I want it to say chapter. And I want it to be in, I don't know, mermaid. 20 point and centered. So now on every page, on the left facing page, I'm clicking back to my document now, we have this applied from our master. If you don't want it, say on, we don't want it here, there's text there, we would right click in our pages. We're on page 4. We're going to right click and override all parent page items. That unlocks it and makes it so that we can delete it. So move these out of the way. Click it, and now I can delete it, but it's still applied to the others. So that's a way to modify one while still keeping it applied to the others. Another way to apply master pages is create one here, right click, apply parent to pages. So maybe you only want to apply it to page where the chapters are. So page 3 and 6. This will apply it to 3 and 6. Same thing if you were to design on the right facing page, maybe you want this to say something else, you would design it here. If you want one master applied to every page in the spread, what I do is I highlight one of these 2 pages. I hit the little trash can for delete. It's applied to 8 pages, Fleet, anyway. Yeah. So now I have one master page that's not a spread that can be applied to either side of the facing page. And see how I deleted that page with chapter on it? That's gone, and so is it from all my pages. So that's another way to get rid of it. Master pages are so helpful if you like working with templates and you want certain things to be consistent. Sometimes I'll just draw a bounding box that I use. I'm like, here is where my photo will go on every page. I wouldn't place the photo on the parent because then it would be on every page. But at least now I have the bounding box where every photo is going to go. And I'm going to apply parent to pages, a parent to all pages. And now, this one's covered, but now there is a little guide on every page. So love that. Let's talk about layers for one moment. So we talked about pages, info, not getting into that. Layers. If you are a Photoshop user, then you know a little bit about layers. We can work on different layers here. Most people work on one layer, but if you'd like to, you can work on multiple layers. What's nice about that is maybe you're making a screen printed book or reso, you can turn off certain layers. Sorry, here we go. So the eye toggles visibility. There we go. We see it without that. Maybe we want to create the green half of the zine on a new layer. And look, now we have layer 2. So it's kind of nice. They're color coded. This is how you stay organized if you need multiple layers for some reason. That's pretty complicated, but it's an option. I don't usually use it, but you can. All right, we went through layouts, columns, templates. I'll explain what alternative layouts are for fun. Alternative layouts are if you wanted maybe to stick something in here, you could create an alternative layout and add a little business card in here, or maybe you have a full letter flyer that you put in the middle. So there are ways. I know it seems like you're locked into the 5.5, 8.5, but there are lots of ways to insert different sizes, which is nice if you're creating, I don't know, a digital file maybe. I do use InDesign even for digital zines. You don't have to export as a PDF. When you go to export, which we will at the end, you can always export as a JPEG. You can export as a PNG, whatever you want. What's nice about PDF is a PDF can have multiple pages, whereas if you save as an image file, they'll all be separate pages. Scripts. Scripts are also very in the weeds and deep in InDesign. I'm going to show you one script that is great and everyone should know how to use from the beginning. I'm going to remove everything from this document because we're going to use a script called Place Multiple Page PDF. I'm just going to delete all this. We don't need it. Yes, there's objects on it. That's fine. I'm going to delete this box on the master. All right, so I have a fresh document called zine, nothing on it, but I have a PDF that I want to place on every single page. Go to Windows, Utilities, Scripts. Like I said, this is like layers deep, but we're going to do it. All right. All of these will be closed. We're going to go to sample scripts. We're going to go to JavaScript. And deep in all these folders is something called Place Multiple Page PDF. It is useful enough that I am teaching it in the 101 class. So, Place Multiple Page PDF. We're going to double click that. And you're going to have the option here. It says choose a PDF file. You're going to have the option here to select a PDF. It's going to place it to size per page, every page. We're going to watch it happen right now. So I'm going to open the PDF. Would you like to place it in a new document or in zine? I'm going to choose zine. Click OK. Yes, this document. Yes, seen. Place PDF on page 1. Yeah, okay. And literally in one instant, look at that. So that is very cool. And of course, you can still go to pages and modify this. We can still move stuff around. We can delete it. But what we did is just placed instantly every single page of a PDF. So fast, so useful. And let's put that back. And another tip when you're using that, it's really nice to have both your InDesign document, like we have here, set to 5.5, 8.5, and our PDF that we used. Let's find pages. And this document, see, that's also 5.5, 8.5. So when it places, it's perfectly centered and, you know, fit to page. So that's helpful. If you place something smaller or larger than your InDesign document, that's fine, but you will have to move it around. Still is going to save you a ton of time if you're working from a PDF in InDesign. Very helpful. So a lot of people have been telling me that they've been using Photoshop to create their pages, but they want to get them into InDesign. Combine all those pages in order into a PDF, and then use your Windows utilities, scripts, and place them in here. It's so much faster than going to file place 50 times, which is how I used to do it. So that is great. Look at our zine. Okay, we love it. We're going to place the cover back in just for fun. I'll also show you how to place text really quick. Just like we created a live link with our images and our PDF, you can do that with text. I don't usually, but the benefit of it is our copy and pasting removed all formatting and it made it Minion Pro 12, the default font. If I had something kind of more tricky, like text with formatting, so this has different sizes, different colors, it has bold, it has different fonts. Hopefully we can do this with this format. We're going to find out. I haven't done it yet. So you can place text. We have a text box, file, place. No, we can't because it's not a Word doc. But if it were a Word doc, we would be able to do that. This is an open office, a free program document, so we can't. But in the future, I will say you can place in from a Word doc instead of doing what we're going to do, which is select all, Control-C, Control-V. And again, this removes all the formatting, but it's in there. We can edit it. We'll just make it smaller. This is our back cover. Okay, love it. We have a zine. We're going to export our zine. We're going to go to File, Export. And you're like, whoa, okay, this is crazy. But we're going to export it into our folder that has all of our linked things. You have a lot of options here. You can export it to whatever you want. This is a class for PDF for print. So we are going to go to Adobe PDF Print. That's going to be like the highest quality. And it will also create a multi-page PDF. It will not be interactive, meaning people can't move around your things. Love PDF for print. So we're going to use that. Save. This is also kind of intimidating because there are 1 million options. So when I first saw this, I was just like, oh my God. You have all these things. You're like, what does any of this mean? Always just choose high quality print. And if you don't know what you're doing, just press export. That's fine. Don't go in all these things. It's totally fine. You don't need to convert the color. You don't need to, you know, have it display it a percentage. Just export. And here's your PDF. I just zoomed out, but here it is at 100%. It's in single pages because that's how we exported it. I'll now go into those settings a little bit. So right now, oh, sorry, I went to document setup. Okay, file export. We chose PDF for print. It'll default to whatever you used last, so that is still there. Zine PDF already exists. Do you want to replace it? Yes. Here is the general export PDF options. I'm gonna show you what I use. I use pages, which can select your page range that you're exporting. It can also export it as spreads. This will keep it in reader spreads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But when you view it, your reader can view it in spreads as it's designed. So that's cool. We'll do that so we can take a look. The one other thing I like to use is I always keep view PDF exporting. So that just opens it right after. The next time we export it, I'll show you marks and bleeds. But right now we're going to do one for reading. This is how I export digital zines. I chose spreads, and what that did is it kept it in facing pages. So this is how, if I'm sharing a zine digitally and I want a friend to read it as a PDF, I think this is just a little easier than page by page and kind of gives them a better idea of what it's going to look like in print. So right now, it is exported in facing pages, also known as spreads. Very cool, but you cannot print from this. That is why we're going to export one more time, and I'm going to show you exporting for print. Print PDF, save over, and to clear all of our customized settings, we just go to high quality print. We do want it as single pages. Someday they might be able to add export and printer spreads here, which would be so cool, but they don't. Compression, we don't want to make it any smaller. Marks and bleeds, this is the only area you may use realistically for print. So this is where you add marks. The marks that I like to use are crop marks that will show where it's trimmed and will be outside of the print area. If we were trimming this, meaning cutting it smaller, we would add crop marks. I'll just show you what it looks like. Crop marks, bleed marks puts bleeds at the bleed, put marks at the bleed, which is unnecessary. Registration marks adds a little, I don't know what they're called. It adds a little registration mark, a little like, I don't know. It adds a little mark, and what that does is it shows you that the placement of something, so you can see that all the marks are lining up. I'll put it on so we can see what it looks like. Color bars, this is a little old school, and we don't need color bars on. What that does is put a bar of all the colors included in the zine on the side outside of the trim. If you had like, if you were in a fancy print shop and you had a spectrometer and you were measuring the density of each of those colors, you would want the color bars on. Not what we're doing. Page information. What this does is it adds all the information from the zine, a timestamp, the title, all those type of things into the slug area for you. We'll turn that on just so you can see it. Offset, I always set it to 1/8. That's kind of my safety zone, both usually for margins, but also for bleed. Bleed and slug. There's 2 ways to turn on bleed. So our zine does not bleed. Nothing goes to the edge or past the edge of the piece of paper. If we had something that went past, we would have to turn on bleed here. And this is a step that most everyone overlooks. Use document bleed settings. Our document had 1/8 inch bleed settings, so we can click that. we didn't turn that on in the document settings, we would then have to type it here. Nope. 0.125. And this is locked, so they're all the same. Include slug area. Again, if we had typed information that we wanted to print outside of the trim area, we could include it here. We did not do that. So I'm going to export here, and I'll show you what it looks like with all these additional things. It's a little funny because I put them on for the flyer. Let's look at this page. These are registration marks. Again, used for printers, not necessary for books or zines in most cases. These are the crop marks, so they are outside of the 5.5, 8.5. Our document now is 6.17 by 9.17 because it includes all this extra information. And look, here's our slug. Here's our page information that it added automatically for us. The title, the page number, date and time. Gets trimmed off, but maybe nice to have if you're putting it together yourself. So those are just some options when you're exporting. And again, those are the only ones realistically that you'll use. For this, which has no bleeds, I don't want any of that. I don't want anything printing outside of our 8.5, 11 that we're printing on and folding in half. So I'm going to export one last time. Print. And the only thing I'm selecting here is the Adobe PDF preset high quality print. I'm not changing anything else. Okay, this is our zine. This is called a print ready PDF. It's not in reader spreads. It has been exported as a PDF with all the print settings, meaning that it saved everything that was over 300 DPI or dots per inch to that quality, all those things. And so this is what you would send to a printer. It's also what you would print from. The last thing I'll explain is how to get this into what's called printer spreads. Printer spreads are this. It is 1/8, 2/7, and so forth. It's how it has to be paginated. That is another word for page order. How it has to be paginated to be collated. Collation is putting something in another thing. So it's what you do when you have two folded sheets collated. So this technically is two forms or two signatures. They are called 4-page signatures because each signature has 4 pages. And this is actually exactly what our 8-page zine is going to look like. You would print one sheet front and back, another sheet front and back, and it's exactly what we made here today. All right. Last but not least, let's make sure packaging. All right. Before we put it into printer spreads, I'm going to show you what packaging is. When will you package a PDF, you may ask? And that is when you're sharing a PDF. Sorry, sharing an InDesign file. That is when you'll package. What is packaging? I will show you. Go to File and go to Package. If I wanted someone else to work on this zine that I just made and maybe drop in their own photos or make changes, I would have to package it. That is because they don't have the linked photos. None of this is embedded. They basically need it to be packaged so that they have no missing fonts, no missing images. This is going to include the Futura we used. This is going to include the Minion Pro we used. This is going to put all of our, PDFs, images, the colors we used. Packaging is very cool, and if you're sending it to a professional printer, they will love that you packaged it because it means they can edit it, so they can add bleeds, they can move things around. they can look at it and not have the fonts be replaced with the default font, even if they're not changing anything about it. This is another dialog box that I found pretty intimidating because it just has so many settings and you're just like, what do I do? All you do is go to File, Package, and then hit Package. That's it. Publication must be saved before continuing? Sure. Yep. Now it's saying create package folder, and where is this going to go? I always put it back in this folder. So I'm putting it back in the zine class zine folder. It's going to put all of those things that we have in our zine class zine folder and put them in a small little zip file that we can share with anyone, and they'll have all the information in the zine. It's live, it's linked, it's high quality. This is how you share an InDesign file with anyone, whether you want them to edit or not. This is how they would use it. It's different than Photoshop because Photoshop, you create the PDF and it has it all within it, that Photoshop PDF. InDesign, you have to package it for it to include all of the things within it. And see here, it's telling us all the things that are in this package. If you're wondering, and it includes the final PDF too, which is cool. If you're wondering what a IDML is, it is a saved down file, meaning saved to an older version of InDesign. So I'm using the 2025 Creative Cloud version. Someone who's using InDesign 2007 could not open this InDesign file. They could open the IDML. So that's just kind of a safety thing. If they're having problems opening the InDesign file that we're packaging, any InDesign should be able to open the IDML, which is just, I don't know, a legacy version. It works with every InDesign, or it should. And we love our high quality print PDF. We're including that, of course. Zine folder, we can call it that. I'm going to call it zine package. And I'm going to hit package. It's asking us now, do we have the rights to share these fonts that are featured? And I'm going to say, yeah. Oops, do. That was really fast because there's like not a lot of photos and this is a pretty small file. Sometimes that'll take a minute to package. Minimize this, and I'm going to show you what's in our package. All right, so in our zine package, which my computer automatically unzipped, which is not helpful, I would then compress it. Okay, so this is what will spit out, a zip. And then here's what's in the zip. All of our fonts, all of our links, everything. Look at all these files, both the IDML file, which is the universal one, the InDesign file for Creative Cloud 2025, and the high-res PDF for print. So cool. Someone can print from this. They can edit from this. Packaging is kind of a lost art, and no one knows how to do it. But it literally is clicking two buttons, and it's how you should really share your files. People will so appreciate it as someone who has worked in printing for a long time. So I think we've covered pretty much everything on the agenda. The last thing I want to go over right here. Nope, it's in the share a document. I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to figure it out. Meetings from doc, show comments. How do we share this on the screen? I don't know. I don't really need to share this. I'm going to just say it, which is, and also is it still, yes, it is sharing my screen. That's cool. Okay, good. I'll just share it on my screen. Okay, so I made a document with the itinerary, which you can find and delve deeper into these options on your own time. I tried to keep this under 2 hours because I feel like that is a lot of time. Let's make this a little bigger. I use what is called imposeonline.com. Impose is shorthand for imposition. What imposition is in printing is the order in which your pages are put together or imposed. What imposeonline.com does is it's a free website, and it will very quickly and easily put your reader spreads, your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, your single pages that we created, our high-res print-ready PDF. It will put that into printer spreads. So I'm not going to show all the options on that site. You kind of have to trial and error and play with it a little bit. You can add all those printing marks. You can even have it so you're putting multiple pages on one sheet. It's very customizable, and it's just a really cool free resource. You do have to sign up, but they don't send you anything, and they're pretty chill. So Impose Online is very cool to upload your PDF and have it spit out an imposed reader spread PDF, or sorry, printer spread PDF, and that is what I use to print from. So I use Impose Online all the time. When I create soft cover or perfect bound books, I do keep it in single pages, actually both in my document and in my PDF. Same for something like spiral bound. But anything that is staple bound, or if you're sewing it or however you want to bind it, if it's folding, it will need to be put into printer spreads from reader spreads. And I'm going to kind of make sure we went over everything, but I feel like we did some good linking. We had an organized folder. Oh, I'll show you very lastly what a broken link looks like. So if we didn't package our file and we had no fonts and no links, and we moved that photo, delete all of this, and we moved that photo, let's delete the pages. We move that. I'm just going to show you what that looks like. I'm going to open the InDesign just because it's common and I did forget to cover it. So let's open this. Hello. Your document contains 8 links or sources that are missing. It will show you a preview of what they look like, which is helpful so you know what they are. But see this little question mark? It's like, this is missing. And if I went to my links folder, or sorry, Windows links, this is missing. So if I click it, it actually isn't linked anywhere. We can relink it here. But if I were to export this right now, see at the bottom, we have 8 errors. And those are all the missing links, and it tells us which pages, and it's very helpful in knowing what is missing. But if this is missing and we were to export it, it would be very, very not good looking. It would be very low res, and it is just kind of this weird ghost. Yeah, see, it's literally doesn't even know what to do with this right now. It's like it's missing. It has like a crazy low res version of it. That is the importance of linking and keeping links live, because if you ever want to make an edit to it later, I'm like, oh, I want to add some pages. Oh, my links are missing. That is super unfortunate, and you have to maybe make it again. If you drag it back into this folder and it exists because you drag it to the desktop and you want to drag it back in to relink it, it will automatically relink. It will always look in this folder for the links, but it's not here. All of our pages are gone. So ending on a very depressing note, do not move your things from your organized folder. That is very bad. All right, so we went over everything. We placed, we did type, we did consistency, we did photos, layouts, did some columns, we learned the script, and we did a deep dive into exporting, packaging, printing. Little plug for Impose Online. They should pay me because I send a lot of people to them. And that's it. And you know what? Owen showed up on this day, so shout outs to you. Owen, since you're here,
Oh yeah, thank you, Molly.
dude, thank you. Everyone's gonna apparently watch this recording because they are out doing their thing.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions? Is that
I, at this moment, I don't have it. I think I honestly, like, this is very new to me. So I would need to like watch this over again to really get everything. But thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, and maybe I went a little fast and maybe 2 hours is better, but you
Well,
know,
I
yeah.
think like some of the stuff that I've like the only zine that I've made is with Emma and Andrew. And like I think just to clarify, when you're putting something on bleed, does that mean that like the part that you have specified as bleed
Mhm.
is what is going to be over the edge of your print line?
So the white on this page is our literal sheet of paper. And
Yeah.
I see that red box,
Yeah.
the red guide. So anything outside of the 5.5, 8.5 size is yes, is considered bleed. So I think to answer your question, yes. And
Okay. So if I wanted, sorry to interrupt you.
yeah, no.
If I wanted something to be like an image to bleed all the way to the edge of the page, I would make sure that it's all the way through the bleed line.
Yes, it has to
Okay.
be past the image. Exactly.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know that and will design straight up to, butt up to the 5.5, 8.5. But
Yeah.
actually, it has to go at least an eighth of an inch over.
Okay. And then is the eighth that's over, I'm not going to see that part of the image on the print.
Exactly. I mean, I like to explain it as wiggle room
Okay.
because printing, even the best printing presses in the world, it's nothing's perfect, right?
Yeah.
So it is basically an eighth inch allowance. It's just like that little bit of maybe, maybe not. So it's the part of the photo that you're okay missing.
Okay.
Or the color that goes over something like this.
Okay.
When you're trimming, or even when the professional bindery is trimming, they're going to do their best to trim it to this size.
Yeah.
The bleed is just the wiggle room that is
Got it. Okay.
allowing them to trim slightly over without getting that white hair, the white of
Yeah,
having
yeah, yeah.
there. Um, and also that's why I turn on maybe like an eighth of an inch. Let's see. So I'm going to change my margin to an eighth of an inch.
Hmm.
So right now I'm like, this is literally like that's how imperfect printing is. Like this is my
Right.
wiggle room of this could get trimmed off or this could get trimmed off. Um,
Right. And I'm not going to lose what I really need to have on the page.
yeah, so no text is going there, obviously.
Okay.
Like what's going there is additional image or color. Um, and another reason why it's nice to design in spreads or facing pages is because it's a reminder that here is the center of the paper,
Hmm.
and you don't need bleed here. You don't want bleed here.
Right, right,
So
right.
it is a helpful reminder to know that it's all the way on the outside. But yeah, it's literally just wiggle room.
Okay.
It is, and every print shop I've ever worked at, is a minimum of an 1/8 inch. And we do tell people it's an 1/8 inch either way. I mean, that's a full 1/4 inch
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
of like error, but that is real and it's necessary to have. So yeah, it may or may not make the cut, like no pun intended.
A good pun. Oh,
Um and that is bleed. I didn't get into bleed too much, but it also means that your page size has to be bigger for that to print,
right.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of people want to buy 8.5 11 and print on 8.5 11, right?
Yeah.
So you might design your zine smaller
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
than 5.5, 8.5, and have the bleed and then just trim here. We do that a lot for like irrelevant press zines. If you look at a lot of our zines with bleed, they're gonna be like, 5 and a 1/4,
Yeah,
yeah, or slightly under.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and that's because you will find out it's very hard to buy 9 by 12 paper.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to print it on 8.5, 11.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so um, that's what's cool about bleed. And you know what? If you designed without any bleed and you just had everything on that 5.5, 8.5 page like this, you could then trim it, um, and hope for the best.
Sounds good.
Because it's a zine.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
in the book world, someone, and if you send it to a printer, they might kick it back and be like, I would do that at my job. I would be like, you don't have bleeds. Like, I'm not working with this. Like, straight up.
I can't deal with
No,
that.
I can't even deal with this.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah.
so that is how critical it is because no one wants something that has like a weird
Yeah,
crooked
yeah, yeah.
white sliver on the side when it's supposed to have, a full black background or something. So,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, it's yeah, it's just wiggle room.
That makes
Um,
sense.
uh,
Thanks for doing this, Molly.
so thanks for coming. This was
You got it.
I want to start teaching this class for real, so this was like really helpful in knowing like,
Yeah.
timing, what to cover, and kind of the order of things. And I had some people look at this and say maybe I shouldn't get into, paragraph styles and scripts and stuff. So I'm also kind of trying to figure out what's going to be in part one and part two.
Yes.
But I
Yeah.
want people to be able to just take part one, like if
I
you,
see what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like you're new to it.
Yes.
So I want you to just be like, wow, part one is enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
need part
yeah.
two.
But I also think that like, I mean, that's incredible. And I do think that that would be like a gorgeous thing to have like a 1 hour, this is how you can make a zine and someone can go
Hella
from
basic. Yeah, 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 yeah.
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 But 2 hours or even an hour and a half, I don't think is
But do you?
unrealistic. I mean, you're offering a lot of information.
Yeah, and also like I do hope that, and the other reason why I would share this is like if someone was like, oh, I remember something about placing, like you
Yes.
just Google that and like the Adobe website will come up and be like, here's how you place. And it's
Yeah.
super like, yeah, like knowing where to start and then doing your own kind of research. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
figuring it
no,
out, but
totally. Totally, totally. And also like I loved you saying this is really complicated, it freaked me out, just ignore it on multiple things because that's also like the type of shit that you know from experience
I
that I
get
have
I
to
get
do.
overwhelmed with those like crazy dialogue boxes with so many options, and I'm like, do I have to
Yeah.
read all this? Like, ugh,
No, it looks insane. It looks like I
it
need to
looks
know coding and
insane. Like,
programming.
I avoided packaging PDFs for so long because I was like, what do I even include?
Yeah,
And
totally.
why am
What's
I
in the
doing this?
package? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
everyone was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
package your PDFs. Like, when you make anything, just package it for safety. And I was like, I don't like what is
Love when people say shit like that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, so that
Good.
made a lot of sense. Definitely. I think I wonder what it would be like because I have like an idea for a zine right now. When
Hmm.
you're saying you want to teach it in the future, are you thinking only Zoom or are you thinking in person?
Well, I'm planning to do it in person at Max's garage, and I
Yeah.
think that I'm here every Saturday, and so I'm thinking just like on a Saturday I would have people bring their laptops.
Yeah.
And so at Tiny Splendor, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So that's the other thing with pacing is I would love someone to follow along and be clicking all these
Yeah.
things.
Yes.
Um, but how many hours? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right. That would, yeah, to do it like someone, well, that's why I'm kind of like, it's cool that you did this and then are recording it. And then, like, if I got the recording,
yeah.
also, I don't know if we're recording our conversation, but,
Yeah, sorry, didn't ask, but yep.
yep. No, 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 no. I figured where I was just like, you got to cut this out.
Oh, you're like, we don't need.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, then I could like do it on my own time after I've like seen you
At
go
your
through
own pace and
it
like
and like
pause it or something. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then like compare my own stuff to it, which I think like that's the only thing is just as someone who's new to it and is like very
Mhm.
tactile, I
Mhm.
feel like I need to
You
be
want to
able
be
to like
doing it. Yeah.
click the things on my own.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think also what I want to offer slash am offering to you is like I do totally review people's like PDFs for print because like I
Yeah.
open something up and like I've been doing it for I don't know 12 years. So like I
Yeah.
open it up and I just like it's like ding ding ding. I'm like I
You
see
can see
everything
it.
that's gonna be like
Yeah.
immediately. I'm like, oh, you have 9 pages. It needs to be 8. Oh my God,
Yeah.
like this text is too small. Like this is too close to it. Like I immediately like have the because I've been doing it for my day job for so long. So it's like
Yeah.
I know all the red flags go off. Even
Yeah.
with like professional designers, it happens every time. And
Yeah.
designing for digital and designing for print are just so different. And so people are really good who are really good at designing on Canva or designing uh,
Right.
even in Photoshop, like um, they might, you know, whatever. There's a million things that could go wrong. So
No, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, I do want to offer also just like I'll review a PDF before like printing, because uh most people like
Yeah.
most PDFs that I get for Relevant Press are 8.5 by 11, like each page.
Right. Right,
Because
right.
like that is the standard size for like a Google Doc or
Right,
a
right, right. What
Photoshop
we're used to
file.
seeing on our screen, as opposed to thinking about what it's going to be when it's in your hand.
Yeah. So then
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, did you imagine this being 1117 and 8.5
Yeah,
by
like
11?
a big, like
Like
a
a big
notebook.
thing. And
Yeah,
they
yeah,
were
yeah,
like, no, no,
totally.
no, no, no. Like, I want it to be 8.5, 11. And I'm like, yeah, but it's half of 8.5, 11.
Yeah, totally. That is interesting, that like visual thing, because I feel like I have like made like books or things in the past, but fully just like on my own,
Analog.
like
Yeah. So
collaging. Right,
then
right.
you
And
know,
to
yeah,
like kind of like flip all the graphic that you just had into like something that is going to be held in my hands. If you're not used to doing that, it's going to take a sec for sure.
no, it like breaks your brain to also just be like, to understand that your design has.
Right, like 1 and 8
Yes. It's like
are
so
on one
hard.
page.
And that was
Yeah.
another feedback I got on giving the class was making sure I had paper so
Loved
that
that.
like
Agree.
because the full digital thing, like it's so hard. Like I think maybe even having samples of books might be helpful. And like um the other thing is like Holly was talking about like if you're really designing my like press partner, she was like if
Yeah.
you're really designing a book and someone's designing like a photo book that's going to be like soft cover bound, like glue
Yeah.
bound, like
Yeah.
that perfect bound book is going to have its own margin in the middle of it
Right, right,
like
right,
that doesn't
totally.
even you can't even see. So how much do you want to get into margins and like
Yeah,
setting different margins for different binding, like you know what I mean, and you can just go
totally.
so
Well, I think it makes sense then, though, like if it is like an intro class like this, like
z.
you're kind of starting with, like you did. I think you did. I mean, your pacing was really good, and you
Oh,
like kept everything in like really even amounts of information and time. And then if someone's like, well, I want to learn more about like specific bindings for this type of book, and I'm making my own leather, like they can take more advanced classes.
totally. Okay. And I think maybe I do want it to just be like a zine class in the beginning and then it can
Yeah,
get into like why you want an alternative layout with fold outs and like crazy shit that happens.
yeah.
Yeah. Or like here's an alternative layout for different paper. Like that just doesn't need to be in the first class. So
Right, which is like so fucking cool that you have that information that you know, and then like I'm definitely like interested in that, but I do think it's like
yeah, it's too much for
that
me.
knowledge has to build.
Yes. Okay. Well, I think yeah, if you're interested, I'll keep you posted on the in-person thing. Like I do think that might even be a slow. I like the idea of someone following along and clicking along.
Yeah, just I don't know why. That's just like generally how I like retain information. And then also it makes it so you're not just guessing pacing wise too.
Totally. And like also like are they following?
Yes. Totally, totally, totally. And I think it like because that's like such a weird thing, sometimes you can be like, I mean, I've taken like Zoom college classes and then
Yeah.
it's like people are feeling like they're forced to interact versus not. Like it's always like, okay, and like, can I have some input on this? But if people are here wanting to learn a zine and they're like, they want all of these skills or like tools to be applied to their thing, clicking
Yeah.
along,
Yeah.
then it's also like I'm gonna know like, ooh, I actually didn't understand that drop down menu when
Yes.
I'm doing it too.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Like where did you find that?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, this was super helpful. So, and I appreciate you giving feedback to you because this is like literally why I did this and what I wanted. So,
Well, Mollie, it's
um,
so sick. This is so generous of you.
I mean, it's helpful for me, and also like I want people to know it, and it's like and I've taken classes. Yeah, I don't know. You just they don't really teach it like they don't really teach design for print anymore.
Interesting. What do you mean?
Uh,
Like it's designed for online?
Yeah, and they'll touch on print a little bit and they'll be
Yeah.
like, don't forget to change from RGB to CMYK.
Right. It's like
Okay,
this last
that's
thing.
it. Yeah, so like
Yeah,
an
yeah, yeah.
afterthought. But like they used to have printing presses like, at every college and they used to
Yeah.
show people how to do those type of things. And now all the designers I work with are creating like annual reports for online and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, we have to print a couple for the school, but it's like it's such an afterthought and that
Yeah.
file does not translate like to print.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they maybe designed it like 1117 because it doesn't matter because it's
Yeah.
online. And so um yeah, I'm trying to like, bring
Hell yeah.
bring the printing knowledge back.
Yeah. Do you think that's because people like the dissemination of information, they're assuming it's easier with like an online zine and also it's just like cheaper to do?
I think both of those things are super true. And yeah, the cost of printing, I think, is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, everyone's so online, so much more in person that it's kind of um, people who make scenes with the relevant press will be like, okay, now what? Like, where do I put, like, where does it go
I
now?
have it. Interesting. Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, yeah, the physical product is cool, but not to the person who doesn't know where to
Yes.
like where to even disperse it. So,
Yeah.
um, like, yeah, and how many are you going to print if you want to go hand them out at like a rally, like
Yeah.
that, and what you're going to force it like put in someone's hand? I don't know. Yeah, so
Right. Right,
I
right,
think
right.
online it gives people the imagination that hundreds of people are seeing it or something.
Yeah.
And also that it's like more accessible. And I think in the perfect world you have both.
Totally.
And I think InDesign's cool because that PDF we made can be both.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But finding a like cost-effective way to print it is, I think, should also be part of the goal. Um,
Yeah.
and like also finding place like that's a good way to find community places is be like, where can I put this? And then you're like,
Oh,
oh,
totally.
like I
Totally,
don't know,
totally.
it's all connected. So I
Yeah.
think I think having them in your hands and being like, okay, what do I do now is kind of a good place to be at, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, okay, then I see like a problem that needs to be solved or like
Yeah,
a place that needs to be created. Yeah,
yeah,
because I think
exactly.
like seeing versus like actually like taking it in is a different thing. And like, yeah, both exist. We need both
And how we
things.
scroll, I don't
Yeah.
trust that
Yeah.
people are taking it in the same way they would if they had it printed in their hand. Like
Right.
I don't think.
No. And even like with time, I mean, it's kind of similar. Like I got that Satazine that y'all published, like Free the People, Free the Sea.
Hmm.
And like I have it so I can go back to it and I'm like looking like similar to when I was like, I need to look at the recording. like I'm so much more likely to go back to it. I can like hold it in my
Have it
hands. I
sitting
can
in
like,
your room, yeah.
yeah,
Than
I can take a
finding
moment.
a link that you lost or
Exactly. If I'm scrolling and like, and then I'm like, okay, I'll just save
whose
it. The
story
amount
was
of,
that even on? Like, I don't,
yes.
yeah.
No, it doesn't happen the same way.
I think that's true. And I think also our attention spans, like,
Yeah.
not that that was a long zine, but I think with something like that that's kind of dense, it's like,
Yeah.
and all of our attention spans are kind of fucked. I do feel like it's cool to not have to finish it in one sitting. Whereas if you're online, it's kind of gone. Like it's funny
Yeah.
to think of it as being like it's online, it's permanent, but it like, are you going to go back to that? Are people going to their
Yeah.
bookmarked things? Like no, maybe like probably.
Unfortunately not. I always think I am, but it does feel kind of like lost to the ether.
Yeah, and like if I start something, like so often I don't finish those articles. And for me, I'm if I have that book, I'm for sure more likely to like pick it back up if I can't digest it all in one sitting.
Yeah.
And like yeah, I think with our attention spans, it's just like not everything can happen in one sitting.
No, I think it makes sense that you want it to, and like I hear what you're saying of like wanting this to be really accessible and digestible, which I don't know, I feel like seem like just generally seems like something you're thinking about a lot.
Hmm.
But also like if it's digestible like really quick, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stay with me.
Yeah, the amount of time because it's fast and digestible doesn't mean that it's like sustaining
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of like
yeah,
spitballing,
thinking
but
out
yeah, yeah,
loud.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think yeah, I think time figuring out the time of this and these sort of things is important. But my
yeah,
dream was to have like the goal was to have like the class and then allow any amount of time after for
yeah,
those specific, like you said, like if someone's doing some crazy binding, like
yeah,
having those specific questions. I'm just doing a really broad sweeping generalization of everything. And then someone is like, oh, but on my master page, I want each
right,
page number to be a different number, like
yeah, yeah.
per page. And I'll be like, I'll show you how to put a page number on and have it be that page
Yeah,
number.
yeah, yeah. I got
Um,
you. Yeah, yeah.
it's like there were just so many things that I was like debating including or not including. So I've been getting like a lot of feedback. And what's funny is like I did have a ton of response. Like, I mean, a lot of people are at actions today. And then my other friend had a flight, and then my other friend Sasha couldn't make it. Like, there was a lot of things that happened, but
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I do feel like I had a good response, and like I'm sending so many people asked for the recording, and like I do feel like there were a lot of people who were wanting to. So like the turnout doesn't like reflect the fact
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
people
yeah.
were yeah, not available. I think it was a bad uh day for it, but I just need to do as many run throughs as possible, so I'll do it again.